Hi everyone, and welcome to this tutorial, which is over the photo workflow assignment. The photo workflow is the process that you will use to save, edit, and submit all of your photos. It's so important to have an organized, efficient method for saving your photos so that you'll be able to find them later and use them somewhere else down the road if you want to. And so that's why we'll be doing that, not just for this assignment, but for all of your assignments in this class. Now, this video is for anyone who's using our lab computers here on campus, the Mac labs, like the one that we use for this classroom. These computers have programs on them that you'll need for this assignment. One of the programs is kind of expensive, and I don't expect you to download it onto your own computer. If you do want to download it on your own computer and pay for that, you're welcome to do that, and you should be able to follow this tutorial just fine. Otherwise, just grab a lab computer and follow this tutorial using one of those. Now we're actually going to start, and before we get into the editing process, we're going to start by opening up your OneDrive. Now you might not know it, but every Grandview student has 1 terabyte of cloud storage. It's included for free with all of your other technology stuff. I've actually included a link to it. You can find it on my GVU, or you can find the link on our Blackboard page. If you go on our Blackboard page and scroll down under Course Tools, you'll see a link here called My Files. And if you click on that, it should take you to your OneDrive. This is what my OneDrive looks like. I like to have a folder for all of my classes. So you can see the different classes that I teach here. And you're going to create a folder for this class. You can also find a link to your OneDrive in my GVU. If for some reason that link on our Blackboard page doesn't work, just go to my GVU. In the search bar, if you just type in OneDrive, all one word, the word one. And then I think it's the second link here, the one that's red. It's a page that tells you about OneDrive, and there's a link on this page that you can click on that will take you to your OneDrive. This first link right here will take you to your OneDrive. Like I said, I've got it open right here. I've got folders for my different classes, and you're going to create a folder for this class, your own folder. Go up to New and click Folder. And let's make a folder called Basic Digital Photography. Great. Go ahead and click on that folder. You'll see it's an empty folder. We're going to make 2 folders inside of this folder here. Go up to New, make a folder, and call this one All Photos. As you might guess, all the photos that you take in this class will go in this All Photos folder. Next, still in this main folder here, this Basic Digital Photography folder, click on New, go to Folder, and make another folder called Submissions. So if you go to your My Files and see Basic Digital Photography, you should see 2 folders in there. One's called All Photos, another one is called Submissions. Okay, once you're done with that, you can actually go ahead and minimize your browser window or close it or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and hide it. And then the next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to show you how to access your OneDrive folder without even having to go on to Blackboard or MyGVU or anything like that. And you'll actually need to do this to follow the rest of the tutorial. We're going to use the OneDrive client that's already installed on this computer. To find that, go up to the top right of your computer screen where there's a little spotlight. It's a little magnifying glass. It's called the Spotlight Search. And just type in OneDrive. If you double click on that, it's going to start opening up a OneDrive program. You might not see anything pop up on your screen. You might only see this little cloud icon at the top right. If you click on that, you'll have an option to sign in with your Grandview credentials. I've already signed in, but it's just the same way you sign in to Blackboard, MyGVU, anything like that. You'll be able to sign in there. Once you do that, it's going to open up a folder for you. If it doesn't do that, you just click on the cloud here and find this little link here that says Open Folder. Once you open up that folder, you're going to see a new window here, and it's going to say OneDrive on it. It's actually going to have all those folders that we just saw a second ago, and it's going to have that folder that you just made a minute ago, that Basic Digital Photography folder. By the way, for those of you who are new to Mac computers, maybe you don't use Macs very often, Macs use a program called Finder. Finder is the program where you find all of your files, your apps, your things like that. You can always find it by going down here to the bottom left to that little blue face, clicking on that, and this is where you can find all your stuff. If you click on this little bar right here that says OneDrive, it's going to take you to your OneDrive. And by the way, I like to use list view to see everything, just a little bit easier for me. If you double click on that Basic Digital Photography folder, you're going to see those 2 folders you just made, All Photos and Submissions. And you can do all of this without even logging onto Blackboard or MyGVU or anything like that. Great, you're ready for the next step. Now the next step after you've set up your OneDrive is to set up what's called your Adobe ID. Now the program we're using in this class is called Lightroom, and Lightroom is made by a company called Adobe. We've already paid for the program. You don't have to buy anything. It's all free. But Adobe likes to know who's using their programs. And so when you try to use one of their programs on our computers, they like to make you use an Adobe ID in order to do that. So to create your Adobe ID, just go to adobe.com. Then at the top right, you should see a link here called Sign In. And then from there, you should see a link that says to create an account. Go ahead and use your Grandview email address for this. Make sure to use a password that you can remember. You don't need to give them your real name or your real birthday or anything like that. Mostly this is just so they can like sell you advertisements and stuff like that. But at least give your Grandview email address and a valid password. You'll use that later, but just make sure to create that for now. Up next, if you're using a camera like this that has an SD card, this is the card that you actually use to record your photos to. If you're using a camera like this and not your phone, you'll want to follow these next steps for getting the photo workflow process going. If, however, you're using your phone, which is an option for this class, you'll use a slightly different process. You should see something on your screen telling you where you can skip ahead to. You can skip ahead to wherever that says to follow along in the process from there. But for now, if you're using a camera like this that has an SD card, go ahead and follow these next steps. Okay, so our next step is we're going to move our photos from this SD card. This is what your photos get recorded onto. It's kind of like the digital equivalent of film, I guess. We're going to move them from this SD card onto your computer, onto your OneDrive. To do that, we need a way to plug this SD card into your computer. This computer doesn't have an SD card slot or something like that. So for this class, one of the technological requirements you'll need is an SD card reader like this. They're about 15 bucks on Amazon. You'll need to make sure to get one that has the USB-C plugin. This is the newer USB plugin. This is the only one that our new computers have. If it's the old style USB that maybe you used to use, you'll need to make sure it's a newer style USB in order for it to be able to plug into these computers. But go ahead and plug your SD card into that SD card reader, and then find the place to plug it in on the back of the computer. Okay, after you've plugged in that SD card, it's time to open up Lightroom. To find Lightroom, you can again go to that magnifying glass, the spotlight search at the top right, and just type in Lightroom, all one word. And you're going to see an option here. You might see two options. You might see an option for Lightroom and Lightroom Classic. The one we're using in this class is Lightroom Classic. The other Lightroom has a bunch of cloud stuff that's very confusing and won't really be good for what we want to do. So we want Lightroom Classic. Go ahead and click on that, and your computer will open up Adobe Lightroom. Now, the first time you open up Lightroom on your computer, you're going to need to log in with your Adobe ID. So go ahead and make sure to do that. Make sure you have a password that you can remember. Okay, and now Lightroom's going to open up. Now, I've got a bunch of photos here because I've been working with this, but you might not see anything at all. It might just be a blank screen. That's okay. At the bottom left, you're going to see a little bar here that says Import. Go ahead and click on that. This is the process we're going to use to move those photos from your SD card onto your OneDrive. Click on Import. And then once you've got Import open, go ahead and at the top here where it says Copy, go ahead and make sure you're choosing Copy. And by the way, by default, it's going to know that you have an SD card plugged in, and it's automatically going to find those photos that are on that SD card, and it's going to go ahead and select them all. If for some reason that doesn't happen, over on the left here, you should see all the different things that are plugged into your computer. You have your computer itself. It's called Mac HD. I have a hard drive plugged in here. It's called KC 2022. And then here, this one that says EOS Digital, that's my SD card. Yours might say something different depending on what kind of camera you have. If I click on that, and then I can find the folder that has the photos in it. But again, Lightroom should do that automatically. Go ahead and check the box here for all photos, because we want to import all of these photos. I want to copy them. So click on Copy here. And then here at the top right, it's going to give you a place to send them. It's going to ask you, where do you want to send these photos? Click on that and choose Other Destination right here. Choose Other Destination. We're going to tell Lightroom where to send these photos. Go to your OneDrive. Click on that link that says OneDrive right there, Basic Digital Photography, and send them to All Photos. We're going to send these photos to that All Photos folder. Click on Choose, and you're ready for the next step. Now at the top right here, there's a little box here that says File Handling. You can go ahead and collapse that. We're not going to use that. But this one that says File Renaming, we do want to open that one up because we're going to rename all these pictures. By default, the pictures probably have some really confusing name like IMG underscore a bunch of numbers or something like that. we're going to give all these photos their own custom name for the assignment so they're easy to find, easy to work through. So click this checkbox here that says Rename Files. And then next to Template, click that drop down and choose Custom Name Sequence. Now with your custom text, what I want you to do is type in your first name and then the name of the assignment. In this case, it's KC Photo Workflow. Spaces are fine. You can do dashes or underscores or whatever, that's fine too. Under extensions, you can just leave it as is. And then you'll see a sample here what that file name is going to look like. So here it says it's going to look like KC Photo Workflow 1. And all those photos are going to be numbered. So it'll be Photo Workflow 1, Photo Workflow 2, Photo Workflow 3, etc., etc. Again, that's just going to be a lot easier for you to track down than the default names that your camera gave the files. You can collapse that then. Apply during import, you can collapse that. Nothing you need to do there. And then this one here that says destination, we want to be able to see that. Go ahead and click this checkbox that says into subfolder and type in Photo Workflow. We're going to make a folder, another folder that's called Photo Workflow. It's going to be inside of that All Photos folder. Organize. Next to Organize, choose by date. And then for date format, choose this one that's all the way down here at the bottom, the year, month, day. Once you've chosen all that, you can collapse that destination one. You have all the steps you need to do to import these files. Go ahead and click Import here. Now Lightroom is going to start importing your files. It might take a minute depending on how many files you have, but you should see them all pop up here in Lightroom. You're going to see a little grid like this that shows you all the photos that you took. Actually, if you go down to Finder, remember that little blue face icon at the bottom? And you find your OneDrive and that basic digital photography folder, and you find that All Photos folder, you're going to see a new folder right here called Photo Workflow. You're going to see a dated folder right here that has the dated photos, and you're going to see those photos. Those photos that you just added are in that OneDrive folder. And actually, if you were to go into OneDrive through your browser, if you were to go through Blackboard and find OneDrive that way, let's go ahead and do that. If you were to go to My Files, you would see your basic digital photography folder, you'd see your All Photos folder, and you would see those photos that you just added. They're automatically synced. That means you can access these photos from anywhere. You can access them from your laptop, you can access them from wherever you need to. You won't have Lightroom necessarily on those other computers, but you can at least access the photos. So pretty cool. All right, now for those of you who are using your phones, here's the next few steps for you. And if you were using a traditional camera with an SD card, you can skip ahead from here. I'll show you where you can skip ahead to in the text here. But if you're using your phone, you can go ahead and download that OneDrive app and sign in using your Grandview credentials. And then go ahead and tap on the app to open it up. And you should see a little link here that says Files. Go ahead and tap on Files, and you should see all of your folders, or maybe just your one basic digital photography folder if that's the only one you have. Go ahead and open up that folder. You should see your two folders you made a minute ago, the All Photos folder and the Submissions folder. Go ahead and open up that All Photos folder. And then inside of this All Photos folder, we're going to go ahead and make a new folder. Just tap on the little plus sign up here at the top. I'll go ahead and do that. And then choose the option for folder. Choose the folder option there. And we're going to create a folder for this assignment. Go ahead and create a folder called Photo Workflow. Type in Photo Workflow, tap on Create, and you've got a new folder called Photo Workflow. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add some photos directly from your camera roll on into this folder, into your OneDrive. So click on the little plus sign at the top right here. I'll go ahead and do that. And then you should see an option to upload, that little upload option right there. Click on Upload. And then choose this option here for photos and videos. It's going to ask you to access your Photos app. Go ahead and allow access to all photos. And then you should just be able to go to your recent photos and find the photos that you took for this Photo Workflow assignment. I'll go ahead and tap on them, and you just want to choose all of them. Don't worry about selecting which ones you like and which ones you don't like. Go ahead and choose all the photos you took for the Photo Workflow assignment or for whatever assignment it is, and click on Done. It's going to start uploading those. It's going to take a few minutes, but once you've done that, you're done using the app on your phone, and you can follow along from here. Okay, now that you have moved those photos from your phone onto your OneDrive, now we're going to open up those photos in Lightroom on our computer. Now, earlier on in this tutorial video, you opened up OneDrive on your computer. Let me just show you that again. If you go to the Finder window, that's the little blue face icon at the bottom, and find OneDrive on your computer, and then you go to Basic Digital Photography here, this Basic Digital Photography folder that you made. You're going to see inside of your All Photos folder, you're going to see that photo workflow folder that you made. You actually made that folder on your phone. You're going to see it right here, and all those photos from your phone are there. They're saved in that folder now. So that's great news. The next thing we need to do is actually the saving and renaming and editing process before we can submit these. So let's go into that. We're going to open up a program called Lightroom. It is the program that we use in this class. To find it, you'll go up to the top right to that little spotlight icon and just type in Lightroom. There are a couple different options. There's Adobe Lightroom and there's Lightroom Classic. The one we're using is actually Lightroom Classic. The other Lightroom has a bunch of cloud features that we don't need for this class, so you want Lightroom Classic. Go ahead and double click on that to open up Lightroom Classic. All right, now you probably are going to see a blank screen that looks something like this. We want to move those photos that we put in our OneDrive. We want to make it so that we can edit them in Lightroom. So just go ahead and click on that little blue face icon, the Finder icon. Maybe go back so you can see your photo workflow folder. And then just click and drag that onto the Lightroom icon down there at the bottom. And it's going to give you this option to add these photos to your Lightroom catalog. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add them to our Lightroom catalog. Basically, it's giving Lightroom permission to mess with these photos. When you see that, just make sure to choose Check All, then click Import. And you're going to see all these photos. You're going to see these photos that you took with your phone for that first photo workflow assignment. Now, the next step in this process is actually to rename these files. Because as you might see right here where it says File Name, these photos all have like a really convoluted name that's like mostly just a bunch of numbers. It's a huge pain and it's not going to be easy for you to remember anything. So this is critical for the assignment. We need to rename all these photos and it's very easy. So go ahead and select all these photos. You can go up to Edit and then choose Select All. Or you can click on the first one, hold Shift, click on the last one. We just want to select all of those photos that you took for the photo workflow assignment. Then over here on the right, you're going to see a bunch of options here. And if you don't see these options, make sure you're in this little library tab right here. You'll see options called like Quick Develop, Keywording, Keyword List, etc. We want this one where it says Metadata. Go ahead and click on that little arrow right here to drop that down. And then here where it says File Name, I'm going to click on this little three-tier sandwich looking thing right here next to File Name. And we're going to give these photos a new name. Where it says File Naming, click this drop down and choose Custom Name plus Sequence. Custom Name and Sequence. And we're going to give these files a new name. You're going to call it your name and then Photo Workflow. So KC Photo Workflow. And then the starting number will be 1. So to give it KC Photo Workflow 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Click OK. And now it has renamed all of those photos. Renamed them all. Instead of having that default whatever name that they had before, it's renamed them. Actually, if you go back into your Finder and go to that photo workflow folder you made earlier, you can see all of those photos have new names now. They don't have that default iPhone or whatever Android phone it had before. They all have new names, much easier to find everything. All right, from here, everyone can pick it up together. We can all reconvene back together. The SD card users, the phone users, we can all pick up where we left off. So the next step is to narrow down your photos. What you're going to do for every assignment is you're going to look at all of your photos, but you're going to choose your top 5 favorites. And those 5 you're going to make some minor edits to, some minor edits and corrections to. The rest, you'll still save them. They'll still be in your OneDrive, but we're going to pick 5 that we want to edit, and then we're going to put them in that submissions folder that we made earlier. So here's how I like to do that. I like to start with the first photo here, and then I can just double click on it. It's going to open it up here in this big view. Then if I use my right and left arrows on my keyboard, I can just kind of sort through the photos. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a label, a 3-star label to every photo that's acceptable. So every photo that's in focus, that is that's not too blurry, that's just at least acceptable, I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 stars, 3 out of 5 stars. To do that, it's really easy. When you see a photo that's acceptable, just press the number 3 on your keyboard here, and I've given it a rating of 3. I'm going to do that for all the photos that are just, usable. I got a photo here that's a little bit blurry. I'm not going to give that a rating. This one's way too bright. I'm not going to give that a rating. And this one's way too dark. It's completely black. I'm going to ignore that one. But all the ones that are okay, that are usable, these ones are out of focus, so I'm not going to give those a rating. But anything that's acceptable, anything that, will probably work, I'll go ahead and give a rating of 3. This is just a way for me to narrow down the photos that are acceptable, that work, that are not, that at least aren't terrible. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make those other photos that we didn't give a rating, we're going to make them go away. They're still saved on your computer, they're saved on your OneDrive. I'm just going to remove them from this view so it's not as confusing. Down here at the bottom right where it says Filter, click that little drop down and just choose Rated. Any photos that are rated. So it looks like I got, 15 or so photos here. I'm going to do that process again. I'm going to narrow it down a little bit more. Now I might narrow down like some photos that I actually like. I'm going to do this as many times as I need to get it down to 5 photos. This time the photos that are a little bit better, I'm going to give them 4 stars instead of 5. So let's say I really like this photo, I'll give it 4 stars now. And let's say I like this one, I'll give it 4 stars. And let's choose a couple more here and I'll give them 4 stars. Okay, so you'll see down here, some of your photos have 4 stars, some of them have 3 stars. There's a little grid you can click on right here. If you click on that, you can see all the photos as a grid, and that might be an easier way for you to see the photos that have 4 stars and 3 stars. Now I'm going to filter out those 3-star photos. I'm going to filter out the photos that made it through the first round but aren't making it through the second round. Down here next to Filter, you can see some stars here. I'm going to click on that 4-star there. And that's going to show me all of my photos that I gave a 4-star rating or higher. Awesome. Okay, so I have my 5 photos here, and I'm going to say these are the 5 photos that I want to submit. Great. Now, for this photo workflow assignment, there's only one edit that you need to make to these photos. You're going to convert each photo to black and white, and then you're going to save it into your submissions folder. Let me show you how to do that. Choose one photo. You can double-click on it. And then up here at the top right, choose this tab that says Develop. This is going to open up a bunch of editing options. And there's a ton of options here in Lightroom we can use, but just for now, just to get started, we're just going to turn this photo into black and white. Here where it says Treatment, Color, or Black and White, just click on Black and White. And now that photo's in black and white. I can click on the next photo, or I can use my arrow keys to get the next one. Again, I'm just going to treat that one black and white. So I've taken those 5 photos that I liked, converted them to black and white. We'll learn more advanced editing. We'll learn more advanced things you can do. This is just an easy thing you can do with one click for now. Next thing we're going to do is go back to where it says Library. Go back to there. And I want to now export these photos. These photos that I just converted to black and white, I want to save the black and white version. I want to keep the original in my All Photos folder, but I want to make a copy that's been edited a little bit and put it in my Submissions folder. And I can do all of these at once. So click on the first photo of your 5 photos, then hold Shift and click on the last photo. That's going to select all those photos. And then down here in the bottom left, it should say Export. If for some reason you don't see that, you can just go up to File and choose Export. It'll do the same thing. I'm going to export these photos. I'm going to send them into that Submissions folder. All right, so where it says Export to, you're going to choose Hard Drive right here. And then under Export Location, choose, instead of Desktop, choose Specific Folder up here at the top. And then you have the option right here to choose a folder. Click on Choose. And I'm going to go to my Basic Digital Photography folder. I'm going to go to my Submissions folder, and that's where I'm going to save it. It's going to go in my Submissions folder. Click Choose. You don't need to put it in a subfolder if you don't want to. You can uncheck that. If you want to put it in a subfolder, if you want to put it in like a photo workflow subfolder, you can. I'm just going to uncheck that. It doesn't need to be in a subfolder. They don't need to be renamed. You already renamed them. These settings here, the JPEG 240 resolution is fine for now. Everything else there is fine. We don't need to make any adjustments to those. Just click Export. Okay, you can close Lightroom now. We're done with that for now. You might get a pop-up here that says, do you really want to quit? Just say yep. And now if I go into my OneDrive, doesn't matter where I go, if I go through my browser or on my computer, I'm going to see these photos in my submissions folder. I'll see those black and white photos. Cool. All right, the next step in the process is now how to submit the assignment. So let's go into that now. How to submit the assignment here. First, on your OneDrive, go back to where it says My Files. Just click on that My Files there so you can see all of your folders, or maybe just your basic digital photography folder if that's the only folder you have. Then go into keep that open. Just keep that open. Then go into your Blackboard page and find the assignment, the photo workflow assignment. Should be in week 2. Then in that photo workflow assignment, go ahead and click on that. And here's what you need to submit. You're going to submit those 5 photos from your photo workflow. You do that by just clicking on Browse Local Files right here, where it says Attach Files, the same way you would submit like a Word document or something like that. Click on Browse Local Files, go to that OneDrive folder, and you'll submit each of these 5 photos here. You can select all of them at once by just clicking the first one, holding Shift, and clicking on the last one, and clicking Upload. That's going to send all of those as well. So it's going to send those 5 black and white photos. But that's not the only thing I want you to submit. I want you to also submit a link to your overall OneDrive folder, because I want to make sure that you took all the photos that you needed to take for this assignment. So to do that, where it says Text Submission, go ahead and click on Write Submission right there. So where it says Text Submission, click on Write Submission. Then go back to that OneDrive folder in your browser. Remember where we were just a minute ago? And look at that basic digital photography folder. We don't need to click on it, but if you hover your mouse over it, you're going to see a little icon right here. It's a share icon. Click on that. And then right here where it says copy link, just click copy right there. I'm going to copy a link to this folder. It's a shareable link. You can click copy, then go back to Blackboard, and right there where you wrote in that text submission, you're going to write your text submission here. You can just copy and paste. Control V or Command V. It's going to create a little link there. It's going to be a link to your OneDrive folder. So once you've done that, now you're ready to click Submit at the bottom. It might take a second or so. It might take a minute because photo files are a little bit bigger than Word documents. If it looks like it's not working, just give it a minute and it will work eventually. You just won't see a progress bar or anything like that. But again, what you should be submitting for this assignment is those 5 black and white photos and a link to your OneDrive folder. For every assignment from here on out, you will submit 5 edited photos directly through Blackboard and also a link to the folder that you used for the assignment as a whole. So that's the photo workflow. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to me, send me an email, talk to me in class, and I hope you enjoy getting to know the process. Good luck.